Arsenal 3, Bournemouth 0. Over to you, Manchester City, in a game that was surrounded in another case of referee and VAR controversy. Hey guys, I'm back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Yes, today's video is going to centre around Arsenal. It's going to centre around them beating Bournemouth, but it's also going to centre around three big decisions that occurred today that again put referee standards on the decline and the usage of VAR once again in the mud. And I'm getting sick and tired of talking about it. But as I always say on these types of videos, we have to call it out when we see it. We have to be consistent on this. So here's me again and another example of trying to be consistent, talking about the standards of VAR again today. Brilliant result by Arsenal. Fantastic result by Arsenal. Keeps the pressure on Manchester City, who are of course playing later. They still hold the advantage in the title race, having obviously now a couple of games in hand over Mikel Arteta's side that they need to use to their full advantage as we are entering the final couple of games of the Premier League season as we know it, with the title race seemingly going down to the wire. Fantastic result. Goals from Bukayo Saka from the penalty spot, Leandro Trossard when it mattered most for Arsenal, and then Declan Rice to put the finishing touches to what was maybe not the best of Arsenal performances, maybe not the best of games for those Gunner players, but it was still a hard-fought and ground-out result as well. That after it went kind of 2-0 and after the very controversial goal for Bournemouth was disallowed, Bournemouth somewhat gave up after that, and it was the lack of intensity then from Bournemouth which Arsenal were allowed to take control over. Before we get into talking about the game, I would like to remind you to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and very greatly appreciated. Get involved in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings on anything and everything in regards to the early lunchtime game today, in regards to Arsenal, the performance, the result, the title race, and of course maybe the controversial decisions that occurred in the game as well. All of that I'm sure will make for great and interesting reading, so please do get involved down below. We'd love to hear from you all. But without further ado, let's get on with the video. Let's talk about the game and the decisions that made. Look, Arsenal were deserving winners today. There's no doubt about it. They were brilliant. They were clinical when it mattered most. And as far as game management goes, it was pretty solid for the most part. I thought Bournemouth were a little bit naive in the first half. It allowed Arsenal to, of course, have the lion's share of possession, which you would obviously expect them to have the better of the chances. And then when they did go 1-0 up, I kind of had a feeling that would be curtains. But to Bournemouth's credit, in the second half, they came back into it. They posed a few threats. They obviously had a few moments that they just didn't quite take. And when it mattered most, it was Leandro Trossard who got the all-important goal that mattered. It was obviously Declan Rice and the likes of Saliba as well that stood up when it mattered most for Arsenal. I thought Saliba was absolutely rock solid today. I thought he was absolute Rolls Royce of a defender at the heart of the Arsenal backline. Bailed his fellow centre-back Gabriel out on a number of occasions. But I thought Saliba was absolutely world-class today, and I think he was probably my shout for a man of the match. I know it was given to Declan Rice, and yes, that is a very good choice as well, considering that Rice was solid in the midfield again, absolutely led by example, and of course got the goal that really sealed the deal for Arsenal and to obviously put the bow on his performance as well. I thought he was brilliant, but in my opinion, William Saliba was just that little bit better. All things considered, but it was a really good game from Arsenal. Maybe not the best that you've seen from the Gunners, and maybe the scoreline did flatter them a tiny bit. But overall, it was a solid, it was a disciplined, it was a very good result for Arsenal. That of course heaps the pressure on Manchester City, and of course, just in case their goal difference needed it anymore, added 3 more goals to their collection for the season. Like I say, I thought Arsenal's performance wasn't maybe the best, but it was still solid enough to get the 3 goals, the 3-0, and of course were solid enough to see the game out. And obviously the game management side of it, because at 1-0, Bournemouth are creeping back into the game slowly but surely. It goes 2-0, and then of course you have the controversial disallowed goal of Bournemouth's. And then Arsenal go on and see the game out from there. I think a little bit was aided by the referees in terms of that aspect. I felt like Bournemouth, after that moment, kind of gave up. It would have been interesting to see how Bournemouth Bournemouth and Arsenal would have both reacted had the goal been allowed to stand. But that's obviously something we will never know the answer to now. In regards to the controversy, big controversy, 3 key moments in the game. The first one was a challenge on Bukayo Saka from, I believe, Ryan Christie. How this was not given as a red card in real time, or at least gone to VAR to then give a red card, I've got no idea. His studs are up, it's at his knee/shin. Any more force is a potential leg breaker. I do not understand why VAR once again did not interfere, why he was not punished early for that potential call. It made no sense to me. And again, we're constantly talking about referee and VAR controversies. We're constantly talking about how referees don't see things in real time, but that's why they've got VAR to back them up. This would have been a good example of VAR backing up the referee and going, hang on a minute, you may want to go back and check this, because although it may have seemed like it was a coming together of sorts, his studs are up, it's at his knee/shin. I think Saka was actually bleeding from that challenge. The ref still didn't give anything, and I don't understand why. This was something that was given against Arsenal, and I don't understand what more the referee and VAR want to do to manage the game, to officiate the game, because that was a moment for VAR to jump in and go, hang on a minute, we've seen these given a lot this season. Ask Curtis Jones, ask Christian Romero, ask Gusto, ask Casemiro a couple of times over the course of the past couple of seasons. They have been given, and the person and the person who is accused of doing that and is found guilty of doing that kind of challenge has often resulted in a red card. So the way that this wasn't given in any way, shape or form to be a card or a red card, baffling to me. Absolutely baffling. Do not understand it. Bournemouth got away with one. But what doesn't make it right is the way that it so-called balances itself out, because later on in that same first half, Kai Havertz goes through on goal. He tries to round the goalkeeper and he goes down in the penalty area. It's given as a penalty. A lot of VAR checks on this one. It's given as a penalty. Bukayo Saka converts the spot kick from 12 yards. Very controversial, this one. He does make contact, the goalkeeper, with Kai Havertz. It's his trailing leg of Havertz as he's going round the goalkeeper that makes contact with the goalkeeper. Now, I'm under the impression, and I know that this is not just impression, this is fact, because referees, VAR officials, Howard Webb himself has constantly said, just because there's contact in the penalty area doesn't necessarily mean there are fouls. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a penalty. I don't necessarily think it's a dive from Havertz. I think you can have it where there is contact, he goes down, but it's not a foul. In this situation, I think it's one of them moments, because the goalkeeper does make contact with Havertz's trailing leg. Now, is Havertz playing for it? Potentially. He's probably worked out, he's probably taken it too wide of the angle, too close to the goalpost to take it round and maybe have a clear shot on goal. So maybe he's tried to play for the penalty, and the referee has absolutely bought what he was selling. I think it's extremely soft. I understand why it was given to an extent, but I don't think it's a penalty. I think it's one of them where contact is made, yes, but it's not necessarily a penalty just because contact is made. It's one of them where Havertz has made a mistake and he's looking for the penalty to play for, and the referee has just bought whatever he was selling, because, as I say, it's a very, very soft one. And given that the past few weeks have been absolutely littered in Premier League games with these types of decisions, and worse types of decisions not being given for penalties, I think instantly, personally, to the Jeremy Doku on Alexis McAllister, I think on the 3 penalty decisions that Nottingham Forest should have had against Everton, and not one of them was given, and yet this one was, I've given up. I've given up with what I think is a foul, what they think is a foul, what they think is handball, what I think is handball. All of that stuff I've given up with now. I've given up with now because, I see inconsistencies aplenty, and I see this happening all the time now to the point where it's getting ridiculous. I don't think it was a penalty. It kind of hurt Bournemouth, and obviously Arsenal go in at half-time at 1-0 up. And then the third one, as I previously mentioned, was the goal for Bournemouth, which was disallowed. Now, this one I am completely baffled by, because if you watch it in real time, or if you watch it back in replay, there's barely any contact from Dominic Solanke on David Raya. So for the context of the situation, the ball is bouncing around the penalty area. David Raya goes up to punch it. He gets either the tiniest of nudges from Solanke, and even when you see Dominic Solanke nudge the goalkeeper, it's not like he's doing it on purpose. He's trying to get out of the way of it, if anything. It's actually Gabriel who seemingly pushes him into David Raya a little bit, and Solanke's just trying to make as minimal contact as possible. Raya misses his punch. He mispunches it. It falls to a Bournemouth player. I can't remember who it fell to. I think it was Cliver at the time. He strikes it against the post. It rebounds, and Semenyo puts it into the back of the net. The goal is ruled out for offside. It is judged to be a foul on David Raya. I don't understand how this is a foul. I mean, if I was to go back to a similar sort of incident of how much force is there, Gabriel against Newcastle. Need I say any more than that? How much of a situation is that going to be again? Are we going to go back and look at that one again? It's a strange call. There's barely any contact on the goalkeeper from Dominic Solanke. David Raya just simply, I don't understand what he's doing. I don't understand why he doesn't try and catch the ball. I don't understand what he's trying to do. He just goes to punch the ball and he misses it completely, and he gets away with it with VAR calling for a foul on the Spanish goalkeeper. I don't understand how it's a foul. If anything, there's more of a foul going on in the background between it was either Gabriel or Saliba against another Bournemouth player, Philip Billing, I believe. I could be wrong on the exact details, but there was a much more of a foul of a shirt pull going on in the background of that in regards to those two players, which probably could have resulted in Bournemouth being awarded a penalty on another day. So I think Bournemouth got pretty shafted there a couple of times. Overall, it was a very strange decision. The goal, in my opinion, should have stood. I think Arsenal have got very, very fortunate there that for one reason or another, again, this whole contact is not necessarily full contact, and the way that these goalkeepers especially get protected in these moments is bizarre. And again, I've used examples of past things for the other two cases. Let me use another past example. The FA Cup game between Manchester City and Tottenham saw Nathan Ake score in the dying minutes of the game for City to wrap up the game and win the game 1-0. In the build-up to that goal, Vicario is... I'm not going to say it's not a foul on the goalkeeper, because I didn't think it was a foul on the goalkeeper, but there was more pressure on the goalkeeper in that scenario than what Dominic Solanke was doing on David Raya in this one. The goal was allowed to stand in the FA Cup game, but not allowed to stand here. I don't understand why. I find it strange. I think Bournemouth have got every right to point this out and to maybe complain. I know it doesn't really necessarily mean much to their season, given the fact that they are safe and sound and everything, and obviously there's no real jeopardy for them, but at the same time, that still doesn't make it right. That still doesn't make it right that these decisions can still happen, because they benefited a team that is going for the Premier League title. And although Arsenal were probably going to go on and win the game anyway, although Arsenal were in the ascendancy and were the favourites to go on and win it, that still doesn't make it right. And it's really strange to me now that these decisions are happening more and more frequently. We're talking about them more and more. And as I said at the top of the video, I'm sick and tired of talking about referees and VAR, but we have to talk about it. We have to go again. and talk about these kinds of things. And that's exactly what we've got here. Look, bottom line here is Arsenal are 3-0 winners. Congratulations to them. It's another 3 points to Mikel Arteta's side. It's over to you, Manchester City, in terms of the title race. But the underlying story is that VAR rescued them a little bit. And VAR, not once, not twice, but 3 times have been called into question in this game. And in my opinion, got all 3 decisions, whether for Arsenal or against Arsenal, for Bournemouth or against Bournemouth, completely and utterly wrong. Completely and utterly wrong in my opinion. And again, it was another disastrous day for referees, for VAR, and for the PGMOL. And we're just about to kick off the 3 o'clock games. So it could get much worse. It could get much worse. But there you have it. Those are just my thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of Arsenal today? What do you make of the result, the performance, the title race, and of course the controversies that surrounded the game today? Let me know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it in regards to anything that I'll talk about in this video down below in the comment section. I'm sure it'll make it interesting and great reading. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way out if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and very greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch, and this has been another Fletch Talks video. And I'll see you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you all again very, very soon.